I'm Michael Drives, and this is the 2020 Lexus LS Hybrid all-wheel drive. The LS sedan started the Lexus brand back in 1989. So here we are 30 years later, and we're going to take a look at what is the creme de la creme of the Lexus sedans. This is the biggest, boldest attempt at the LS yet, but do all the components add up into what is Lexus's best sedan? Let's find out. The competition for the 2020 Lexus LS 500 Hybrid includes, and we're going to look at just other hybrid vehicles and electrified vehicles, but you've got the Audi A8L plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, the Porsche Panamera e-hybrid, you've got the Mercedes-Benz 560e plug-in hybrid vehicle, as well as the BMW 7 Series plug-in hybrid. And when you add that onto the competition and also include electric vehicles, you've got the Tesla Model S Long Range Plus, and then soon to come out is the Lucid Air. And we don't know anything about that car yet, and we won't until September 9th of this year. However, it is definitely considered competition because you're considering a hybrid sedan here, and we're looking at other hybrids that are available. This car is not available in a plug-in hybrid, however. You are only able to fuel this car with gasoline, and it's premium gasoline at that. The LS 500 Hybrid is no slouch, and it'll do 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. And it will do that with 354 combined horsepower from the gas and electric motor. Also on that same note, this has a lithium-ion battery as opposed to the Lexus ES that we reviewed last week, and that had a nickel metal hydride battery. If you want to look into that review, go ahead and click up in the corner, and I'll put a little link there so you can go back to the ES300 hybrid review. So let's head around the back of the car and take a look at the trunk and see what kind of trunk space that Lexus's biggest sedan offers. Welcome to the back of the car. So I'm going to give this just a little gentle kick under there with my foot, and it'll open the trunk, and we'll take a look at the cargo space. Now, this is Lexus's biggest sedan. However, it only has 15.2 cubic feet of cargo space, which is fine for a few suitcases. And honestly, if you're buying a car that can tick over $100,000 like this car, you're probably getting delivery for anything larger. So not the biggest deal. We have suitcases in here, and I'm going to pull these out. This is a regular carry-on approved suitcase, so we'll put that aside. And then over here, we've got a larger suitcase that fits in here, but if you see, when I put these in, there's not a lot of room for many other suitcases. We could stack something on here and then put some additional items. You could fit one more suitcase here and some duffel bags or purses or briefcases in laptop bags in the side, but not the room you would expect with such a large sedan. And the seat in this car does not fold over, because as we get into the inside of the car, you'll see that there are some pretty fancy, with the luxury package, rear seats that just prohibit that from happening. And in fact, the hybrid battery is actually between the back seats and the trunk, so that's not going to fold down. What is nice about that Lexus LS sedan, however, is that it has hidden hinges for they're recessed, and they come down and they're tucked into the actual trunk lining. So no matter what you stuff into the trunk, when the trunk lid comes down, it's not going to crush anything. So that was good foresight on behalf of Lexus, and something that you would expect in this category of vehicle. Another nice feature, you can kick the bottom to close it. You can just throw your foot under there and pull it back. There's a button here to pull it down, and then there's a really nice grab handle that is here in case you just want to do it the old manual way and get it done quickly and be on your way. So if I'm that person, and I am today, I'm just going to go whoop, like a little slot machine. Maybe that was a little too hard. And let's step inside the interior, and I've got some cool stuff to show you. Welcome to the interior of the LS 500 Hybrid. Up here on the center of the dash, you've got a 12.3-inch standard color screen, and this is not a touch screen because all your navigation happens on the screen with your finger, and that is down here on the, we'll call it the mouse pad. You move your finger around and it moves on the screen, and it moves in little indents because there's actually some haptic feedback that's happening here, where when you move from different item to different item and it's highlighted on the screen, you actually get a little thunk in your finger on this pad so that you know exactly. You can kind of hear, if I turn the volume up, moving around that screen, there's a little ding, 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 ding. And when you hit your area that you want to select, you just push down on the touchpad and it's selected. There's 3 simple buttons here. There's menu to get back to the main menu, and that's kind of your home button. There's a map button, so you can always jump to the maps, and then there's a back button. And that's it. Everything else is up here. It's actually really easy to figure out and to get adjusted to once you start using the system. It's a love it or hate it. Some people do not like the way this works. I find it a bit easier than jumping through touchscreens in a moving car when it's kind of bouncing around. So I think there's something to this, and I think you should give it a try. Moving below the touchpad, we've got a button here for raising and lowering the height of the car, because this does have an adjustable air suspension, so it can lift you up if you need to approach a steep driveway and you don't want to scrape the front end of the front bumper. You can lift the car up here, and then you push it again and it'll lower the car back down to normal driving height. There is an icon on the center screen of the dash of the gauge cluster, and when the car is up, there's a little red car with an up arrow, and then when it comes back down, it is down, and that arrow and that icon disappears. We've also got the EV mode button next to the height adjustment button, and the EV mode, if you're driving slow into your driveway at night and don't want to wake anybody up or leaving early in the morning, you can hit that button, and if the vehicle is in the certain parameters that it needs to be in, and that's a high state of charge with the drive battery and low speeds, and you don't hit the accelerator too hard, it'll stay in that EV mode and you can just roll electrically for a little bit. Jumping over to the next button, this has the luxury package, so it has a power rear window shade, and that is controlled here with this physical button. And next to that, you have a seat button, and that actually gives you direct access to seat controls for driver and passenger up in the center information screen. What's great about this is, while there are the traditional buttons on the side of the seat to move it forward, back, recline, you can adjust the lumbar down there, is that this actually takes you to a screen where you can do more adjustments. So you can adjust the side bolsters in and out. If you're a wider person, you can stretch them out. If you're very narrow, you can bring them in, and the car is going to cradle you and hold you more like a sporty car would. Same with the bottom seats. It's just about getting you comfortable and making you feel secure. You can bring those side bolsters in on the bottom cushion or bring them out. Again, on the driver's side, you can roll out the front of the seat, and in fact this car is equipped with the passenger side because of the luxury package, where you can actually roll out an extended seat cushion. There's no way that crumbs can get down in here because it's still all one piece, and it just sort of unfolds out that way without any break. It's not just a cushion that moves and puts in a giant crumb tray. So I'm going to bring that back in because my legs are short. Again, I'm 5'9". Plenty of headroom for me in this car. It does have a sunroof. Sunroofs are standard, and you cannot get a panoramic roof in this car. I tried to configure it many different ways online, and it just does not seem to be possible. So this is the only option. However, it is a large sunroof, so it's not just a little slit in the ceiling. It actually is a good size and lets in a good amount of light. Also on the ceiling, you'll notice if you look throughout the car, there are 4 different speaker grills, because this car has the Mark Levinson system that is the system to end all systems with Lexus. It is amazing. 23 speakers are placed throughout this car. In fact, it has the largest subwoofer Lexus has ever put in a sedan. And those 23 speakers are powered by 2,400 watts of power. That is some serious stuff. I was listening to music in this car last night, and I didn't want to get out. I wanted to sleep in the car. There were things coming out of my songs in my playlist that I had never heard before. There is phenomenal spatial and acoustical, basically acoustical spacing that happens with the processing. And this actually has something called QLI processing when you have this Mark Levinson system. QLI is quantum logic immersion. It's a fancy term for processing that happens in the background to really spread out the field. Fancy names aside, it sounds amazing. And songs, you just want to hear every song you've ever heard over again on the system because it sounds great. Definitely an upgrade if you're any bit of an audiophile. I don't think that the standard system would be bad. I have not heard it. However, Lexus never does a bad job with their premium sound systems that come standard with the cars. But this Mark Levinson system in this car is just worlds above many systems. In fact, I'd say it's one of the best systems that I have listened to music on. Coming back to the dash, down here, speaking of Mark Levinson, you still have a traditional CD player that you can use, so you can break out the old CD collection if you haven't donated it yet and start popping things in there. Of course, you have Bluetooth connection, and this car does have Apple CarPlay. No mention of Android Auto from Lexus. This car does not seem to have Android Auto, but you do have Apple CarPlay, and you can put your phone down in here. If this had a wireless charger, it would be, if it had a Qi charger, it would be down in here. This model was not equipped with that $75 option. So there are two USB ports. You've got a line in for audio with a headphone jack, and then you've got a nice convenient 12-volt charger here, or socket that you can use. And your phone goes in here, or you can snake the cord out and set your phone up here. Also here in the cup holder section, we've got room for two cup holders, and then there is another 12-volt socket, so you can plug in a radar detector or a cooler or another phone charger there. Pretty cool. Moving up here to the dash, we've got, I love the simplicity of this, you've got a volume knob with a tuner ring around it, and then 4 buttons. You've got seek back, seek forward, radio, and media. And it couldn't be more simple than that. If you want some more advanced, treble, bass, fader, you'll go into the menu system of the display up here. Your HVAC system, very nicely laid out, simple to get to. There's no screens that you have to go to be able to adjust the air conditioning and this and that, and you just set it to auto and forget it. This car, because it has the luxury package, has something called Lexus Concierge. And this takes auto climate control to a whole new level. And I've turned it on since I've been in this car and been comfortable all of the time. What it actually does is, through 16 infrared sensors in the car, it measures your body temperature. And it measures your body surface temperature so that it can create a microclimate for each one of the outboard 4 passengers. So the 2 front seat passengers and the 2 rear passengers on the sides, you can kind of it will create your own microclimate and constantly read your body surface temperature so that you are at the exact temperature. It's not just going to blow, say we set it at 72 degree air at you. It is going to read your body and say what it needs, figure out what it needs to do with the seat heating, seat cooling, steering wheel heating, and then the 30 odd vents that are placed in the car. It's going to adjust those so that this person's temperature is totally different than this person's temperature. It's whatever you set it. So it's taking that to a whole new level. I love this feature. It is a little tricky to access because you have to, there's no button. You can't just, there's no button next to the auto button. You can't just push a button. You have to go into the screen, and there's just this little icon, and you can kick it in, and that little icon will, the little bar will light up next to it once you activate it. And it's a little Lexus symbol with a seat, and I think it says Concierge. However, anytime you push a different button, say fan up or fan down or any sort of, you knock yourself out of that mode, and then you've got to go back through the screen layers and turn that back on. I would actually prefer a physical button next to the auto button, or auto would be the Concierge, because you do have that feature in this particular trim level. The luxury package, which is added to this vehicle, gives you some very premium upgrades in that you've got 28-way front heated and cooled power seats that also add a massage function. So there's shiatsu massage happening in here, and it's all controlled through the screen. Unfortunately, you can't just hit a button somewhere and activate the massaging function, which is something that I kind of want all the time when I'm driving. If you've got the feature, you might as well be kneaded and twisted and whatnot. It feels really good. I'd love to have a button to just turn that on and turn that off, but unfortunately you go through the screen, but it does have it. Here we are in the back of the car, and this is where I think the LS Hybrid really shines. You've got a 7-inch touchscreen here, which will control all of the functions of this seat, the rear driver's seat, this seat here, and it'll even move this seat back and forth. So one of the things I like to do is just hit this little button here, let the seat recline. The seat cooling is on right now, and it's using suction to pull the heat off of my body, because that's how things work in this car. I might fall asleep, so I'm going to come a little bit more upright. But this seat is fully adjustable and it has memory. So this is part of the luxury package. Again, it's a little bit over $12,000, which is the price of a small used car, but that doesn't matter because it's nice to feel good in the back of your car. And if you're going to be driven places most of the time, or if you own the car and you're going to be taking passengers all the time, this is a must-have, because you have all of your comfort controls right here. So you have full seat adjustments in this screen, and I can control these window shades, which is amazing because sometimes you just don't want to see what's going on outside. The world looks ugly sometimes, and you just put these up, or the sun's beating down on you and you don't want to be bothered with that. You want to take a nice nap. You can do that in this car, and you can control it all right here. So there's a rear windscreen that I can push and drop that back in case I want to look behind me and see what car we just passed, because we've got 354 horsepower and we can do 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds. It might be like, oh, ha ha ha, we just passed you. But coming over here, I can drop these, and then you can wave to people while you're passing them, mashing that accelerator, pushing it down, or your driver is. But really, for the ultimate in privacy, you put all this up, you're in the city, you don't want to be bothered, you don't want people peering in your car because you're a very noble person, and your celebrity status dictates such, or you just don't like the UV rays like me. So you can control all of these window shades, which again are part of the luxury package, and you can control the audio system. You can select the source, you can mute the audio, you can turn the volume up and down, so you don't have to constantly ask your driver, can you turn down a little bit? Can you turn the temperature up? I'm hot. You can control it all right here, and that is very convenient. Depending on who you're driving around too, if you're the driver, they might melt you. But with the 4-zone Lexus Climate Concierge, you're going to be fine because you're in your own little micro zone. So if I'm really cold and my mom is really warm, we can both find our different temperatures and be fine with that. You can also adjust the lighting here. So if you want to turn on the center lighting or 2 map lights, that's fully adjustable from this screen. And you've got some other little deeper settings in here, but you're basically controlling your climate for this back area, the audio for the entire car. You're adjusting the 2 rear seats. You are able to move this seat forward and fold it for extended leg room if you want to go into a full sort of limo mode in the back seat. But this is beautiful. Again, you've got some gorgeous materials here. You've got the floating armrest still in the back. You've got very usable cup holders here, and you've got the armrest that you can access from either side. You've got 2.1 amp USB charging ports down in here for your devices, so you can work away. The car does have Wi-Fi and is available with a Wi-Fi plan, so it can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. You've also got vanity mirrors up here, so you can wipe the sweat off your forehead if it's a hot summer day like it is today. And so it's very nicely equipped. It's beautiful the way that this is kind of sculpted. This whole armrest will go up if you no longer want to control that screen, and you can fit a 5th passenger here, although I think it's a very small seat and it might be a little hard on the back, but put a kid there. They don't care. They're just enthralled with all the technology. Down here you've got one more 12-volt socket to be able to plug in all your toys and gizmos or laptop or whatever you want there so that you can work. There is not a tray here or anything that comes down, so you will literally have to put your laptop on your lap. You do have map pockets down here for your map convenience. I don't know. You just stuff junk in there or trash or things you don't want to touch anymore. But this back seat is extremely comfortable. There is ample leg room for me. This seat is back behind the B-pillar. I didn't even move it up for this sort of demo, and it just shows you like my feet fit in comfortably. I can comfortably get in and get out of the car. I could move this seat way up. If you're looking for more rear seat leg room, you'll have to look towards something like the S-Class Mercedes-Benz, which has about 4 more inches of legroom. So if you don't find it substantial enough. But if you look down here, if you can see between the driver, I mean, this is my position when I was driving, and this is how much room that passenger has behind the driver's seat. It's very ample. Again, 5'9", plenty of room up here. I don't know how I'd wear a wig or a large hat back here, but I guess you have to take your hat off or your wig. You kind of have to smush it down for the back seat of the LS 500. So let's get out on the road and do a little driving. I want you to experience what acceleration is like with this hybrid V6 engine that's mated to a CVT that's also mated to a 4-speed mechanical, gear transmission. So there's a whole bunch of things happening here at once. You've got gasoline engine, electric motors, CVT transmission, geared transmission, all combined into sort of one unit. It adds up to a very interesting drive, and they're simulated 10 gears. Really like that feeling as opposed to sort of that endless and then the engine drops down. But you don't get that with this car. You actually get some grunt, which we'll see out on the road. And I'll take a little drive and then I'll give you some feedback with some driving impressions based on that. And now a quick demo of what the acceleration feels like in Sport Plus. Wow. So I hope you enjoyed that drive and acceleration demo. Wanted to bring it back to how the car drives. It has 20-inch wheels and the handling is very secure. It's sharp. It's not a sports car, and it definitely feels like one solid piece of metal when you're driving it. There's no flex in the chassis. It's very well controlled. No issues with that whatsoever. Acceleration is very exciting. It definitely makes that groaning V6 sort of high performance noise that you would expect in a performance Lexus when it's switched up to Sport and Sport Plus, but you can get your 26 miles to the gallon combined if you're back in eco or normal and you're driving, with reasonable acceleration and braking out on the road. So it shines there. It's plush. I feel extremely comfortable in this seat. It's fully adjusted to me, the fully adjustable electric steering. It just feels really good on the road. Now, here's sort of the bitter pill when it comes to this LS 500 hybrid. You've got a car that comes in at over $81,000, and the 0 to 60 performance time is good. The fuel economy, though, if you're talking strictly fuel economy, is 26 miles to the gallon. And when you consider that all of the competitors that I mentioned earlier, the Audi A8L, the BMW 7 Series plug-in hybrid, the Porsche Panamera e-hybrid, you've got cars that can plug in for a while and then because of that get greater efficiency overall, and we're talking about in the 50s mile per gallon equivalent with those vehicles. And then you step up to an all-electric powertrain, and those vehicles, by the way, are higher performance. I believe almost all of them have more horsepower combined than does the LS 500 hybrid. When you step into the all-electric zone with the Tesla Model S Long Range Plus, you're getting an all-wheel drive vehicle that'll do 0 to 60 in the low 3s and will travel for over 400 miles now on full charge. So, where does that put? Where's the winning part of the Lexus LS 500 hybrid here? And that is in its value, because it starts at just over $81,000 when you're comparing it to those plug-in hybrids. Now, it doesn't really compare to the Tesla Model S because that starts at the $7,500 I'm sorry, $75,000. Yeah, nobody's getting a discount like that. So that starts lower, and you're getting higher performance out of that. And so if the environment is of concern, then this is not the best choice when it comes to that. If you are a Lexus owner, and you have been a Lexus owner for years, and you're like, I want the next LS, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. This has all of the luxury that you would expect out of the car, some really amazing technology when it comes to that Lexus Climate Concierge that I talked about earlier, incredible sound system, sunroof, no dual pane, or sorry, panoramic, and you can't get a dual pane. You can't get a sunroof in the back in this model. I tried speccing that out too, so that wasn't an option. But I think it really comes down to, are you going to be driving the car or riding in the back? Because if you're comparing it to a Tesla Model S, there's no comparison. The Lexus wins. You've got a super luxurious executive level back seat. Even if you don't get the executive package and you get the luxury package, you've got all of those features that you can control, like the seating, the climate, the stereo, right there for you. It's luxurious. You can fully recline in the seat. You can't recline 90 degrees, but there is some recline where the seat slides forward, and that's extremely comfortable. You can't get that kind of luxury in the Model S, and it's just not offered. You can get that in the plug-in hybrid competitors. That is available. So it just depends, but those actually will come in at a higher price. So your value here is that you're getting a hybrid vehicle. You're getting a vehicle that will only run on gasoline. Unfortunately, you can't plug in and have that benefit at home to get some extra range, better fuel economy and whatnot, and less trips to the gas station. So you're kind of stuck on the gas only. However, it is quite the value considering what you get at that just over $81,000. If you want slightly better fuel economy out of the 500 hybrid, don't get the all-wheel drive that this car has. Get a rear-wheel drive, and you will get a couple mile or two per gallon better in the grand scheme of things, in your combined and your city and your highway. So, but this kind of lets you have it all and need it too, while still running only on gasoline. So, in summary, some of the competitors are out there. They're just a bit ahead of the game at this point. It's the old world luxury. If you're going to be a passenger in this car and you have a driver, then this is the car to get. If you were looking for a driver's car and you want a hybrid only, it's an excellently priced car in the super luxury category. However, once you bring in the competition where they're all plug-in hybrids, you really sort of lose that edge over the competition, and they kind of take over because they've got more performance, they've got better fuel economy, and then once you go all electric, the equation's kind of blown away. So this is an old school luxury sedan with some neat technology tricks, definitely comfortable, but powertrain wise, it's a bit behind the competition. If you enjoyed this video, please click on that subscribe button, which is my head in a circle down below, and subscribe right away so you won't miss anything. I've got some exciting stuff coming up ahead, and definitely like this video. Please, comments, feedback. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Stay tuned. Have an awesome day.